Who was the hardest pitcher that you had to face in your career?
Oh, shoot. There's a lot of them. That's a question you get a lot, too. Obviously, the Pedros of the world, the Randy Johnsons.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it was the duo that stands out in my career was Atlanta of the 90s, and it was Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine.
Maddox, okay.
And that's like a hitter's worst nightmare. And I remember, this is back before the internet. We didn't have everything at our fingertips. So, you'd go to the USA Today, and we'd read the sports page. And if we were going to Atlanta in 10 days, I'd start counting the days and going, okay, if Maddox is pitching today, he's going to pitch in 5 days to see if I would miss one of them.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I, to sum it up, I always sum it up with just Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. That was a nightmare for me in the 90s, but there are so many good ones, Like I said, the Randy Johnsons, the Pedro Martinez is for a 3 or 4 year period was as good as it gets. I think the best pitcher I've ever seen and faced, just from an all-around pitching perspective, it has to be Greg Maddox.
Okay. All right. And I honestly I'm kind of surprised by that, honestly. But when you say it,
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah. Well, because when you say it, I'm just like, wow. Okay, Greg Maddox, because like there's a lot of premier pitchers during that time. And when you say Pedro, I was like, okay.
Maddox is the greatest pitcher ever to pitch in the major leagues.
Okay.
And that's from seeing him a lot and seeing all the great ones a lot from my generation. It's just
I appreciate
his off night was
still good.
Guys on night, and he didn't have many off nights. I mean, if you look at some of his stats from the mid '90s, they're ridiculous.
Okay.
I think he had a 1.5 ERA one year.
Oh, geez, I didn't even know that.
His strikeout to walk ratio is ridiculous. And
Okay.
He just threw a real heavy ball, but he was a technician. I mean, he could just put the ball where he wanted, like no one I've ever seen.
And I wasn't saying Greg Maddox was a bad pitcher by any kind of stretch of the imagination. I just, was kind of off put by that when, especially after you had said Pedro.
Caught up in velocity, this and that. Velocity's great.
Right.
But some pitchers that had a lot of velocity, they don't bother me one bit. You got to throw it in the zone. These guys don't. Some of these guys throw real hard. They don't know where it's going, and I can wait you out. I don't want the guy that can hit the corner anytime he wants.
Okay.
With any pitch he wants. Those are the guys that I don't want.
No, that makes sense.
And it's wild that's going to miss a foot out of the zone. And I know he's throwing 98, but 98 doesn't matter to me when I'm 28 years old.
Right.
I could care less how hard you throw. You come into the zone, I'm going to get you.
No, that makes sense.
And you can't put it where you want to put it. So it's going to be more, it's going to catch a big part of the plate. I got Maddox. He's never going to miss at the big part of the plate. He's going to have something moving, dart, and sinking right on the edges, and he's going to do it consistently, which is, and he's not going to walk you. So
sure,
he was the toughest.